Well, we had to bring some type of positivity for all you YouTube watchers. We hope you enjoyed Patrick Starr for the opener. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast. I'm your host, Brian Kennedy. As always, I'm joined by my co host, Scott Medlin, the big dog, and Jamie Holt. And we're down another man for the second straight week. But good reason. Josh is out celebrating his daughter's 16th birthday, not his. Josh is well older than 16. But he's having a good time with his oldest Kelsey. So Josh, we hope you guys have a good time celebrating her birthday. And fellas, unfortunately, it's not a good week to start. It was another heartbreaker. We've been a part of a lot of heartbreakers, but before we get into all that, we got to hear from the man himself. As always, here's Manny Diaz post game.
An extraordinary contest. I'm sure certainly one for the neutral would be very appealing. But for those guys in that locker room, it's there's a lot of emotions. It's sadness, anger, confusion, whatever you can feel, they feel, and I think that's because there's another emotion that there's an immense pride to be a part of a team that will battle like our guys will. Proud to be their head football coach. I mean, they were the way they played in the second half, and I think it was 5-0 in turnovers. You probably have to go back a long time before somebody won turnovers 5-0 and lost a football game. But ultimately, it's about points off of turnovers and our inability to capitalize, and you have to give them credit. Those were two of the top three defenses in the ACC, and they made it difficult on us. So we made some improvements in some aspects of our game. We improved today, but ultimately it was not enough to get the job done. I think that's what's so harsh on our kids. But that's sports, right? I mean, it's not you don't always get what you deserve, and you had a game where two teams were going back and forth, and ultimately we ended up one play away. So with that, questions.
And again, that was head coach Manny Diaz giving his thoughts post game and Duke's heartbreaking 28-27 loss in overtime. And fellas, before we head right into the mailbag, we've got another big one this week. Thanks to each and every one of you. We've got to keep the lights on. We've got to do it. First and foremost, we've got to thank Matt Bliven. He is our ticket giveaway sponsor. He did another ticket giveaway for the SMU game, and he will be giving tickets away for one last game, folks, in 3 weeks. 3 weeks for the Virginia Tech home finale senior day. As always, Matt is a realtor and he can help you with any of your needs in the Triangle area. He's ready to tackle any questions you might have. He's super knowledgeable about the real estate market. And if you have any questions, if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to sell, invest, or build in the Triangle, give him a call, 919-323-0527, or email Matt at mlb@nestrealty.com. So we've gotten your home needs taken care of, or your home, I should say. And this is usually where I give it to Josh. But I've got to do it all this week. Fellas, I got to earn my pay. So you've got your home taken care of. Well, now you got to make sure that home is cool as well as warm in the wintertime. So Hometown Air. Hometown Air brings 25 years of experience into the residential HVAC world. Service contracts are the best way to maximize the life of your system. I will say, fellas, I went probably the first 10 years of home ownership and didn't have a service contract, and I quickly learned my lesson. So, having a service contract that keeps your system running efficiently no matter the weather, and as I stated, you want to stay warm in the winter, cool in the summer. And get this, we've been saying it all year long. If you call Hometown Air and you mention Section 17, the Section 17 podcast, you will get $17 off of your service contract. Every dollar matters when it comes to your HVAC system. If you're looking for more information, go to hometownairnc.com. Again, that website is hometownairnc.com. So you've got in your house, you've got your house cool, and you've got your house warm. You got to wear something while you're walking around the house. You can't be naked, folks. Well, you can, but your neighbors, I'm sure, would love to see some clothes on you. So, wrong overlay. Let's try that again. Nope, that's hometown. There we go. Home field apparel. I finally got it. Third time's a charm. Home field is the leader in vintage brand gear. And I got to say, we all have some home field apparel and we love it. We gave away the home field Duke hat with that weird sport on it. There's going to be another home field apparel giveaway before the end of the season. I'm still trying to figure out which week it's going to be. But for all your Duke apparel needs, go to homefieldapparel.com. And if it's your first time buying from them, use the code section17 at checkout and you will receive 15% off your first order. Every dollar counts. So go to homefieldapparel.com if you're looking to get some more Duke apparel. So we've got it taken care of. All your home needs. Again, thanks to all of our sponsors. The lights will stay on, fellas, yet another week. And as we move on, we did not have an interview this week. I think we were all just so heartbroken with what happened this past Saturday night, I should say. So we figured that the mailbag would be a little heavy this week. So, Jamie, let's just go ahead and dive into it. I'm sure we have a ton of questions, hopefully, some questions about our upcoming coming opponent this Saturday in Miami. Jamie, what you got for us? Let's get rolling.
We do have some a question about Miami, but that's coming later because
Yeah, save that for last. That's perfect.
folks wanted to talk about the SMU game.
Yeah.
And speaking of the heartbreak we talked about at the beginning of the episode, at Bosnian Babe, 89. Why, as Duke football fans, all we know is pain? And then I had a similar question from at Sunset Shim underscore NC underscore fan. Not sure if I pronounced that at right, but my question is why? Not why did we lose, but why does this always happen to us? And also, Sunset there, I happened to click on the profile, and they're also a Panthers fan, so we know we know some major heartbreak. We know some major heartbreak. Uh, and then the best one came from our guy Lee Rodeo, uh, and he waxed poetic here. Rodeo says the only question I can come up with is how does Samuel Beckett seem to capture the essence of Duke football fandom so perfectly, while by all accounts never having heard of Duke and never having seen an American football game. And then he quoted, "Are you not done tormenting me with your accused time? It's abominable. When? One day is not enough. For you, one day he went dumb, one day I went blind. One day we'll go deaf. One day we were born, and one day we shall die. The same day, the same second. Is that not enough for you? They give birth astride a grave. The light gleams, an instant. There is night once more. We are all born mad. Some remain so." Hey, and that speaks to me as a Panthers fan as well. So
Damn, quote the Raven nevermore. So, I know I just spat off for the last 5 minutes. I'll get us rolling here. This Duke team has seen some heartbreaks, and since help me out here, fellas, 2022, they've been 15-3 at home, and those three losses have all been heartbreaks. The UNC game, where Duke should have won the bell, this past Saturday, and the other one is slipping my mind as we're
Notre
recording.
Dame.
Notre Dame,
Notre Dame.
Oh God, yes, yes. I think I
fourth
wanted
and
to
six,
block.
third and 16.
I think I wanted to block that one out of my mind. So yeah, these are the games that you look on the calendar going in, and again, I said this last week. I would happily eat crow if Duke would win. It looked like I was going to have to order some crow from the local Chinese restaurant and have some while we were talking. It's just it's like we get up the hump and we're about to get over it, and then we get knocked on our tails and fall back down to the bottom of the hill. It's tough. It really is. But to try to put a positive spin on it, folks, there were days to where we knew we couldn't have this conversation at all. I'm talking whole seasons. I'm not talking just one game. I'm talking 11, 12 games. We were going, hey, I got some time to spend or waste on a Saturday. Let's go see Duke football play. We know it's not going to be a win, but hey, we can hang out with our buddies and family and have a good time. So it's dejecting. It really is. And I think back to 2015. Speaking of Miami, the knee is still down to this day. I think about the other Miami game, fellas, where we were in the tower. It was that Friday night game, and we thought this is the year Duke wet the bed. So it really is. It's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. But like we were talking about last week, I myself included thought honestly with what we've seen so far this season with the offensive woes that Duke didn't have a chance and you know what to even compete. And here we were with 3 seconds left. Tobolino was about to kick the game-winning field goal. Shout out to the SMU defender who did not touch a single person on the O line, leapt over him like he should be playing basketball as well for the Mustangs. But again, it's tough. It really is. But the fact that we're in these games that no one gives us a shot in is where it should matter the most. Because Duke was again a double-digit underdog, and they proved to everyone that they're here to stay. Sorry, that was a long rant.
No, not, and I will quickly say, um, Wallace Wade has become a pretty good home field advantage. I mean, to be honest, when you get a good amount of fans in there, that place gets loud. That goal line stand, it was loud. It was great. 15-3, like Brian said, over since 2022, like that's nothing to throw shade at because that's just great. And but the I mean, we just haven't gotten over the hump against the great teams, except Clemson, which we did. Obviously upset them, but um, they Duke could easily be 18-0 in that span, which would be insane. Scott,
Well, to speak to the crowd, again, another 30,000 folks there for the football game. That's 2 weeks in a row, not counting the Carolina game. Man, that's awesome. We have been begging for that for years. So, congratulations. I mean, you got to take the good with the bad, unfortunately. And at this point, to Brian's point, and this is perfect. I almost laughed so hard when he said it a minute ago. Basically, we are Charlie Charlie Brown and Lucy pulling the football away when it's time to kick. That's exactly what happens to Duke in these situations. It sucks. I mean, it sucks. I don't know if let me say it again. It sucks. But folks, I mean, we have been begging to be in these games and have these chances. I know the 8 o'clock kickoff is not the greatest for everybody. I understand that. My favorite thing in the world, but everybody's not like me, so I understand that. But if you want to be somebody in football, you want to have that night kickoff. You want to be on primetime television. The ACC network may not be primetime, but it's still huge. And to have the number one team here for it, to have the fans that were here for it, to have ACC Huddle here for it. By the way, shout out to Eric for coming to eating with us in the breakfast Saturday morning. That was awesome. The few of us that were there. But man, this is what we want. This is what we've been begging for, and we're finally on the map. We're still not getting respect, but we're on the map. Now, if we can just get over these moral victories and start getting these W's in this situation, the sky's the limit. We have, and I won't go any further. I'll stop right there because I know other questions, and I can go on and rant for something else in a few minutes. But the sky's the limit for us.
30 sellout for UNC, 30,000 for FSU, 30,000 for SMU. So fans, kudos to you guys, especially with all the circumstances and all the other attractions going on in and around town these last couple of weeks. This team needs you guys one more time. 3 weeks against Virginia Tech.
I'm gonna be Debbie Downer here.
Oh, Jamie.
Fans, please stop leaving at the beginning of the daggone fourth quarter. I know some people have to. I get that. Okay, so folks with kids, I'm not talking about you, but other people are leaving, and there was a lot of empty seats right there in that overtime, and I get it. I get it. It was a long day. I got there. Scott got there. At who knows when? Like I'm not sure, like 7 a.m. or whatever. Uh, I got there about 12. And it was a long day. I wasn't pulling out of the parking lot till like at least 12:08 a.m. or something like that. But I wish people would stay. But we're getting there. We're getting there. The culture is changing, I
So let
believe.
so let me ask y'all this. Do you think it's still the PTSD of the past? Because entering the fourth quarter, it was 21-13. And again, Duke was a double digit underdog. Did people think, well, we got close, but it's just not going to turn out like we want it to. Do you think that could be a part of it?
I think that's some of it, but then again, Saturday night was employee night, so you just don't know how many people really cared about the game, like, or they just came because they got the free tickets and the meal and stuff, and it was good. And I'm glad they came, but you don't know if they just kind of got tired and just left. I mean, some of it is like I was in the stand. I'm not gonna lie, I was talking to uh Tyler right there next to me and telling him, I was like, I'm not feeling good, not feeling good about this kick when the clock was going down and we're getting ready to kick and try to walk off the game. Uh, I told him I just didn't feel good about it, and it is what it is. But we'll move on now.
The
I got
PTSD is real. That's all I'm gonna
yeah,
say.
I've got a question from Eli Hartso here. Two questions actually. I thought it was really good. Um, Malik played his best game as a Blue Devil against SMU. He showed good decision making by throwing it away when he had to. He had better pocket awareness and even scrambled a few times. He was far from the reason we lost. Question one: what do we think changed, if anything, that made him show up better than ever this past weekend? And I don't know about y'all. I'm not sure. I'm not sure anything really changed per se, but he was making like great decisions with the ball, and I think I'm guessing they preached it throughout the week because I listened to Manny's radio show uh, before the SMU game. Obviously, I listened to it on my way home from the beach on my way to the Duke SMU game, um, and he was talking about how SMU was very opportunistic with turnovers. They've had like 5 touchdowns as a defense already this year, I believe, and I think that they probably preached to Malik all week to make sure you're very careful, protect the ball. So, and he really took his time, went through his progressions. If it wasn't there, he threw it away. Now he had a couple of throws. We've talked about it. He missed Queso one time where he kind of hopped the ball. It is what it is. But he definitely to me had his best game as a Blue Devil. Question two from Eli. Also, some of you may have noticed there was more than one instance during the game where players on offense looked visibly frustrated and even gestured towards the sidelines, maybe out of frustration about certain calls. He said, I believe Malik did so after a failed third down conversion. There also have been some cryptic posts on Twitter from a few receivers. So that leads them to question two: has someone lost the locker room? Has Brewer lost the locker room? Or has Malik? And oh, go ahead, y'all. Y'all got anything?
So, as you were reading that, I'm going to start with the Twitter post first. You have to remember with NIL, this is more of a business than it has ever been. So, you are in the business of promoting yourself. And there's a good to it and a bad to it when it comes to college sports. If you're not getting your looks, if you're not getting your touches, that hurts your resume to either stay at said school or look to transfer out and go to another school. It's just like with recruiting in high school. Hey, here's my tape. Look at what I've done. Well, if you're looking to, and again, let me preface by saying this. With what I'm about to say, I am not alluding to anybody on this team that's already looking to exit. This team's 6-2. I'm just talking broad scope, NCAA and NIL. But if you're a said player and you're not getting the touches you think you're supposed to be getting so that you can have that highlight reel, or you can look to next year to where NIL comes up and you discuss NIL potential and sponsors, that could potentially be some of the reason. Could also be this offense has struggled all year long. No doubt about it. We know that. We understand that. We see your comments during the game, before the game, after the game, in these questions. As a former sports athlete, not football, when the practice that you put in and week out doesn't show on the court, the field, the diamond, you get frustrated and you start to wonder, one, why is this happening? Everything was clicking in practice, and then we get on the field. Why is this not working? So I don't think it's so much as someone's lost the locker room. I just think we're 8 games in, and maybe these guys are like us going, okay, it's been 8 games. We're not changing anything. We're going off of this playbook. Why isn't this working? Yes, we've won 6 games, but what is it that we are not doing to execute the playbook to not get the results that we saw in fall ball, that we saw in spring ball? And again, I know it's Duke offense against Duke defense when it comes to that. But I would venture a guess to say they're as frustrated as we are because Duke fans, I've seen this for the last few weeks. The expectation for this team is up here. We all want it. We all get it. We all see it. And I think the players are right there as well. And when the execution's not there, everyone's frustrated.
I look at it like this, and I hear this all the time on the radio show I listen to. Some of these guys that are frustrated and angry, if you're not starting, you're departing. That's college football and college sports in 2024, unfortunately. I would say this, and I may get criticized for this, but it is what it is. Brewer mentioned today that they're still, we're at week 8, week 9. They're still not full through the full playbook yet. They're still learning. And I'm gonna be honest with you, they're running some plays over again that are good. And I think we saw some plays Saturday that we had not seen yet. And I'm gonna say this too. Some of the players out on the field, they look like they're doing everything they can. Now, granted, you're playing against the defense, and like Jamie mentioned, I think a second ago, this is one of the best turnover margin defenses in the country. They know what they're doing. They are ball hawks. It was mentioned today that the defensive coordinator for them, I mean, he knew the offense was coming anyway. Let's be honest. We knew their defense and their offense. They know each other pretty good. So the fact that we were able to have success both ways, to me, says a whole lot. Now, granted, I'm not in the gloom and the doom yet because still we're 6-2, 3. I'll say all 4 games are winnable, but definitely 3 have a chance to be won. So I'm not ready to jump off the ship yet. I'm not ready to be Leo on the front of the Titanic, but just I know being patient sucks, and I'm a big fan. I'm just like the rest of y'all. I get aggravated, I get frustrated. And I got to see a different viewpoint of the game Saturday night, obviously, because I had to leave early. But watching it on TV, I'm not gonna lie to you, sucks. Not being there live, the only good time was for the reviews. The rest of the game, you can't see the thing developing. And it's kind of like you're at a disadvantage when you're sitting at home. And that sounds crazy watching it on a big screen television, but you're at a disadvantage. And, it is what it's right now. Just, I think you got to give it some time, give some effort. There are some players that are frustrated, but again, we're missing what was supposed to be our start running back. We're missing top 2 tight ends. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna make that other statement because if I do that, something will go wrong. But we're doing great with what we have. We have 2 young tight ends that are doing the best they can. The transfer, the running back star has been phenomenal. I think we need to give him a little bit more food and feed him a couple more times. But he's to the point where he's getting, I think, where he's going to bust a couple. And hey, who knows? Maybe Saturday night in front of the friends and family crowd, may pull a Deion Jackson, go up the gut and be gone for 90.
Let me ask y'all this really quick. Do you think, and I'm going back to 22, because you remember we had Nina on the episode leading up to the season with Mike starting his first season. Do you think that the expectation now is to be like what Mike Elko had in his first year for Manny Diaz? Because you got to remember this, folks. We had Duke's athletic director preaching to us. We got to have patience. It's going to take time. We've got a new administration coming in, new coaching staff, but you know what I mean. So, we know everyone's excited, but don't expect much. And then you saw what Mike and his staff did with the same kids that the last administration had. I'm wondering if that's what is in people's minds? Well, Mike did it with Cut's players. Why can't Manny do it with Mike's players? You see what I'm saying? So, but again, 6-2. I mean, come on, folks. We're still bowling. We still got to make our plans for postseason. So
I definitely think the expectations have changed from Duke football fans, and we have Elko to thank for that. Honestly, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but Elko did raise the expectations for Duke football. Um, and Manny's already surpassed the expectations from the media this year. What was the over under? 3.5 or something? Three?
the most that I saw was 4.5, and that was being. I mean, I think the plus on that was plus 800 or something. Like no one gave this team a shot to win more than 4 games.
And I think we weren't sure either because we were coming in with questions on the offensive line. We didn't know how good Malik would be. We thought our schedule was going to be just absolutely brutal, which is not an easy schedule, but it's turned out to be easier than what we thought, right? Florida State wasn't the top 10 team that we thought they were going to be. SMU is better than we thought they were going to be, possibly. I mean, I think SMU was good last year, but I felt like we didn't think they'd be this good in the ACC this year. Credit to SMU.
And I'll end it with this so we can move on because I mean we could have a discussion on a question for 30 minutes. Folks, remember the non-con schedules are usually booked way in advance. It's not like we're going to end this season and our opponents next year are going to be figured out at the end of the year. So these teams, Duke, ACC schools, SEC schools, they play the hand that they are dealt each and every year. The only difference for Duke this year was with the addition of SMU, Cal, and Stanford, they had to completely change the schedule anyway. So some of the teams that Duke was expected to play were actually taken off the schedule, and some of the new teams that they weren't expected to play were put on the schedule for this year too. And still, Duke is 6-2. All right, what's next, Jamie?
All right. At Crimroy. And I got a couple of questions that are questions and comments that are similar here, so I'll read through them and then we'll talk about it. At Crimroy, we forced 6 turnovers, and the offense felt like they were more put together, which I think that is the case. I think the offense definitely looked a lot better. But goes on to say, I just don't understand how we lost. How did we force 5 fumbles and an interception and only have 7 points at the half? This wasn't a question, but I pulled this off our Facebook page. Tyler Lester, I think, had posted it yesterday. He says Duke is plus 10 in turnover margin in its last 2 games, and we are 1-1. We have 17, yes, 17 points off of 10 turnovers, and one of those is a defensive touchdown. Duke simply isn't playing complementary football, and that's a huge issue. So I thought that was a good comment. And then I couldn't go to sleep until like 2 o'clock in the morning. I got home at like 12:30, and then the game. I was sitting there thinking about that. There was a shooting at Cookout as I drove by. Just typical Durham stuff. But that wasn't what I was thinking about. I was thinking about the game. So here's a tweet that I saw at Opta Stats at Opta OPTA Stats. SMU beat Duke 28-27 despite having a turnover differential of -6 in the game. Prior to SMU's win, FBS teams were 1-124. That's 0.008% this century when losing the turnover battle by 6 or more, with Marshall beating Memphis on November 17th, 2011. So, complimentary football, it's I don't even know what to say. Like I really don't know how we lost that game.
I
Scott?
think I would say this, and I won't talk about the whole game. I'll say the last drive, we got conservative and settled for the field goal. I think they should have gone for the jugular, ended it with 7, called it a night, told SMU to take the long walk, get back on the plane with the oil people, and go back to Texas. My opinion, take it for what it's worth. You went conservative, set yourselves up for the field goal. On the field goal, guy made a great play. However, he did jump over 2 people who were bent over and never made. If they come up They clip a leg, that's a 15-yard penalty. It's a whole different ball game. But that's neither here nor there. That's some things we got to learn. We're making bad decisions in certain departments. It is what it is. We've got to learn. Some of these guys have never played college football, and I know game 9, you should know by now. I agree with you 100,000%. I'm still under the opinion I don't know why any kickoff return ever gets returned. That's just me personally. Take it at the 35, 25, whatever, instead of trying to run it back and get sacked at the 12. That's me. Do what you want to do. But yeah, I'm just, you know, I'm as frustrated as you are. These guys are as frustrated as everybody else is. I don't know how you do it. I'm not going to lie to you. Duke was picked on today on the radio show I listened to about that because of that. And I, in years past, it would have ticked me off. But I wasn't ticked off by them being picked on. I was ticked off because it was the truth. It was actually really happened. It's like one of those deals where you went to bed Saturday night and you're thinking, okay, this was just a dream. And no, unfortunately, Sunday morning when I got out of bed, it was the truth. It stinks to have the defense play as well as it did and not score and the offense not score. But I mean, again, it is what it is. We got to figure something out, and I hope to God that's what they're doing. Because if not, the rest of the folks that are sour are going to be more sour. And that's not what we need. We need to back and give as much support as we can to these guys. Listen, this defense, again, we said this the last couple weeks. This is one of the best defenses we've ever seen in our lives. This Duke football team right now, and I'm gonna hold a couple more comments because I got some stuff I want to mention if we don't get to it later of some things that I noticed during the game at home. But I'll go on and let you guys talk.
Um, no, I agree with what you said about going for the touchdown. Because like I said, we were even talking about it in the stands. Like, I was pretty uncomfortable with rolling Todd out there, and that's nothing against Todd. We everybody knows this is a Todd Polino fan podcast. We love Todd, but I was nervous about that, and I thought we should have tried harder to actually just put 6 on the board. But Manny did the right thing. He did what the playbook, if there is one, says you should do. He went for the walk off, which is what you should do. And then the freak incident happened, which we do have a question about that later, so we'll get to it. Um, at the Duke of QP, the SMU game should dispel any remaining notion that changing QBs will fix this offense. He says Brewer is not the guy. And he says sorry, not sorry. We have a CFP level defense that is being wasted. When will a change be made? And change is just not happening. It's not going to happen this year, and I think Brewer will be back as an OC next year unless something unforeseen happens. He gets hired as a head coach or something like that. I feel like he's going to be back again next year.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best. And Duke, I love you to death. I love our interactions on Twitter. This is to you and as well as everyone asking this question. Let's just say this team wins 4 straight heading into the bowl game, and they're ugly wins. I'm not saying blowouts. I'm not saying, but a win's a win, right? So what if Duke and I know I'm just playing the huge what if game, but what if Duke goes 10-2, let's say 9-3. Let's say even after this Miami week, let's say that there's a loss in Miami, but you win out. You go State win, Virginia Tech win, Wake win. Will we still be asking this question heading into the bowl game and after the bowl game? I get it. Kevin Johns was a good offensive coordinator. We can all agree on that. We saw that. But there's different players in different positions than it was when Kevin Johns was there. And oh, how quickly we forget a certain offensive coordinator that had been at Duke from 2016 to 2021. Run, 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 punt. So again, we are 6-2. We are not 2-6. I don't know if there's a team out there, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm just talking off the fly on this. I don't think there's a team in the country that is 6-2 going, you know what? Probably need to make some personnel changes. It's just not working out right now. Let's say Duke goes 6-6. God forbid that happens. But let's say they just go 6-6. Okay. Conversations are going to be made. I don't see Manny Diaz as the type of person who will just sit there and say, "Yeah, you know what? It is what it is. We'll move on and we'll regroup and we'll, get him again next year." But again, 6-2, 6-2. Let's pump the brakes. We get it. We understand it. The offense is struggling. But any coach that wants to strive or thrive, I should say, in college sports is going to do anything and everything they can to make the improvements needed to where these questions are not being asked. So, Duke, again, I love you and I appreciate the question, but at this time, that's not a question I think Manny Diaz has even thought about.
Hell,
And a mute.
jeez.
Mute button one, Jamie zero.
Fire. Let me fire the mute button. At Bleeding Duke Blue, and this is a similar question. Uh, do we believe the glimpses of good offense we saw last night was A, maybe they figured it out, B, a fluke or mistakes by SMU, or C, our offense has just been so awful prior it was like putting makeup on a pig. Uh, but honestly, I think they were starting to figure it out. Like, I really do. Like, Malik was making great decisions with the ball. We mentioned that earlier. Just simply throwing the ball away when he has in the past tried to force it somewhere that it shouldn't be forced. But let's be honest, he doesn't turn the ball over. So like so far we can't even 17 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. But I have seen him try to force it into like a tight window when maybe he should have thrown it away, and he may have got fortunate that it wasn't picked off. Um, but I think I think they were making good decisions. The only thing that I would have changed, and Scott mentioned it earlier, was I feel like Star Thomas should have got the rock more. Because I feel like he was, and SMU had a really good run defense and a really good defensive line, but I feel like he was starting to wear them down, and he was getting 4 and 5 yards a pop. Just keep giving it to him. That's the one thing I would have changed.
Well, see, and that's something they actually started mentioning on television. Wes and Luke's both mentioned it as the fourth quarter got going. Said you can look at these offensive linemen and the Duke players; they're standing straight up. SMU guys are bent over; they're gasping for air. So I'm not ready to throw in the towel yet. I really think that we are hitting a stride. I think we're getting a little bit better. I think we started the game right, and Malik had a little more confidence than usual because every other game he's been hit or miss, which is good. So maybe he's starting to settle down a little bit. Maybe he's starting to settle in. I mean, he is our guy. He's not gonna, nothing's going to change about that, and it does help. And I think you all would agree with what I'm about to say. When you can put number 8 on the field, it helps everybody else out because when 8's out there, 4 is open, and guess what 4 did last Saturday night? 11 catches, 100 and was it 65, 25, 35. Anyway, and a touchdown. Eli Panko had his best Blue Devil day as a Blue Devil because you have Jordan Moore out there and they're keeping him busy, and Eli's getting open. And that's one of the great advantages of having both those guys out there healthy. And that's, you know, we don't have the tight ends healthy. We have younger guys. If we're able to exploit teams with the two guys there, Queso's getting better, Samir's getting better. Uh, these guys are making catches that honestly, 3 months ago when the season started, balls would have went flying over their heads. So the effort's there. It's just got to, defenses are starting to get a little bit better, putting 8 in the box. It's got to give it a little more time, I think. I'm not ready to throw in the towel yet.
Well, and remember, you said this earlier, Scott, and Duke fans know this. There have been key injuries on this offense. We have not had really any key injuries. Hang on a second, knocking on wood on defense. So playing devil's advocate here, and I know we can't change the fact. What if Nicky was still around? What if Jaquez had never gone down? What if Jeremiah hadn't gone down at Northwestern? Where would this offense be today? And we talked about this a couple of episodes ago. Injuries happen. Every team's going through it. State down the road, they're dealing with Grayson McCall retiring. UNC dealt with Max Johnson being done for the season after Minnesota. So when you have that game plan going into the season and that game plan is completely diverted to a different direction, these offensive coordinators have a tough, yeah, they have a tough task in readjusting to accommodate the players who are going next man up mentality. So that's one thing to think about that we as Duke fans, I think, take for granted is, I mean, last year you saw it. Riley got taken out. And I'm not starting the whole bench Malik thing. But when Riley went out, Henry came in. Then Henry got injured. Grayson came in. No one, I think, including Grayson Loftus, expected to be playing on the field last year. Grayson had no, he thought he was going to redshirt. And guess what? He was basically called and said, "You're up, kid. Good luck. Here's the playbook. Here's the play calls. Good luck to you." So remember, Jaquez goes down. Star becomes a star because everyone thought that Star was going to complement Peyton as well as Jaquez. Now he's the front man. Now you've got both tight ends 1 and 2 gone for the season. Next man up as well. So something to consider as we head into these final 4 games. We do the same thing. We get frustrated, but then we got to remember the first string in some of these positions is not there for the offense. All right, Jamie, what's next?
All right, our guy JD at Fish Fry 02, and shout out JD. Thanks for the parking pass on Saturday. I appreciated that. I was able to come in straight from the beach and slide right into B3. Um, he says, as fans, we can and will recover. We will be back and ready to go next week. How do the coaches get the team over this and mentally ready for Miami? This isn't a "we'll get them next time, boys" situation. But I kind of got like right out when I read that question, right off what jumped out at me was Manny Diaz absolutely has to. I know Miami's good, but you got to think he wants this game. Oh my God! Like I mean, Manny's. I'm pretty sure Duke will be ready. Now, whether we'll talk about Miami later in the questions, but whether or not we can do anything with Miami is a different story. But Manny's going to have them ready. They want he wants Miami and David Feely. Good Lord. I mean, the energy that dude brings. These guys are going to be ready. Like I don't have any fear about them being ready.
That's that's a great question. And by the way, shout out to JD also. We were able to use some of his Wi-Fi, his hotspot to watch the game Saturday too. So shout out to him for letting us do that. Um, they mentioned in the press conference today, emotions, you got to let them go. You got to leave them at the door. You got to be ready to play Miami this weekend. It doesn't matter what your past feelings are, what happened Saturday night. When you came in Sunday afternoon or Monday morning, you had to check that stuff at the door and get ready for the next team, whoever it was, Miami State, whoever. So I think that's one of the things that Manny is preaching to this team, and I really, truly, I, every, everything he's saying right now, we're banking on. This team is. I'm not gonna say that the best team part, is getting along, but these guys are doing a great job of working off each other and making each other stronger. And I think that is the Feely effect. And thank God we still have David Feely. And I told him the other day that they needed to give him a lifetime contract, and he was very excited about that idea. But that's really something that you know David Feely has done what he's done, being with these guys all the time, working the way they do. I really and truly think that that's how they're able to get past this stuff. They're able to put the emotions at the door when they come in. And hey, 6-2. I'm gonna keep riding that till we're done. 6-2. We would die in years past to be at 6-2 this time of year instead of 2-6, thinking, "Oh my God, we're going to Miami and going to get our heads handed to us."
Yeah, we would be ecstatic, and I I say this with the mindset of what we were talking about years ago. If we were 6-2, we would be like, cool. If we lose out, we're fine. We're going to a bowl game. But now it's like we're 6-2. Let's be 7-2. Let's be 8-2, 9-2, 10-2, so on and so forth. But I agree with you,
Let's
Scott. I
let's be
think
greedy.
yeah,
Let's be
exactly.
greedy.
It's good to be greedy sometimes, and it's good to be upset when a loss happens, regardless of the team that Duke plays on the field. But I agree with you. Lifetime contract for David Feely. You rename the weight room the David Feely weight room. Just throwing it out there, Duke. If you're watching, just saying.
All right. Sorry. I don't know why I unmuted to clear my throat.
Illness 1, Jamie 0.
uh, Jeez, unmuted and cleared my throat. What an asshole. Uh, uh, okay, so we knew we were going to get to this. We have a few questions about special teams, so I'll just kind of read through them and then we can discuss. Uh, at EEWVU, do you think the decision to go for 2 and the win, which he said he thinks was the right call, was really due to Diaz not trusting the kicking game and the second OT and beyond? At Duke FB coverage, I got Ben. Why have the special teams been so inconsistent? At Big Papa RV had a similar special teams question, and then I had a good one from Peter Dodge. Peter Dodge is always very thoughtful on his questions. Coach Infante has done great things with the D tackles. The special teams play has been inconsistent. Now he says coach doesn't snap, hold, block, or kick, but it's lonely at the penthouse. Several have opined that the special teams coordinator needs to go. He says I vociferously disagree. Uh, moving forward, uh, moving forward, do you see Coach Infante remaining the D tackle position coach while relinquishing the special team gig in that world? And as soon as I read that, I wanted to say like Infante is not going anywhere. Like that dude can recruit out of his mind, right? I mean, like that's one thing that he's like. That's one of the things he's best at. I'm not sure about the special teams. Like maybe he ends up giving up that, and they move him to a different out of that role. I don't know, but once again, like Peter Dodge said, I mean, it's not like the coach can get out there and snap it, kick it, block it, field the field the punt. Case that's another thing we didn't talk about. Queso fielded another punt at the 5. Now it turned out well because I'm pretty sure we ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive because Queso caught the touchdown. But I saw a coach meet Queso as he was coming off the field, and there was a discussion had, and I'm pretty sure it was let the ball hit and bounce into the end zone. So I mean, we're just making some critical mistakes, and I'm just not sure what's going on
I, I
with special teams.
I would say this. I think a bunch of the stuff that went wrong this past weekend got amplified because Duke lost. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and do it, and Lord forbid me not do it and feel better about this later. First snap, laces were out, Dan. Sorry, but they were out. Uh, the great play, the two guys never moved their heads. They stayed in the crouch position. Cannot do that. Queso made the mistake of inside the 10-yard line. Didn't burn him, but it's just definitely something with, and this is for anybody. Again, freshman back there receiving punts. By now, got to know better. But it is what it is. They're still learning. They're just 18, 19-year-old kids. I I want to say this as delicately as I can. This isn't Texas. This isn't Georgia. We're not getting these 17-star players to come in here and do this. These kids are here because they want to learn, become doctors, lawyers, financial whizzes. But they also love football, and they want to continue their life doing that for at least 4 more seasons. And I tell you what, and I think this is a fair assessment, and again, crucify me if you must. I would take every one, 105 guys on this team right now than that team down that won national championship last year that has DWI here, DWI there, DWI everywhere. I would take these 105 kids over those kids any day because they're going to be better men. Who cares if they win national titles? They're going to be better men, and they're going to make a whole heck of a lot more money than most of those guys down there that are entitled and doing all this BS they do and getting in trouble with the law constantly. That's bull crap. That's not what college sports is about. That's my rant right here, so enjoy it while it lasts. But that's bull crap. These kids, I would take them. I would fight for them as a fan any day over those kids down at Georgia doing the BS they do every weekend and making themselves and staining the reputation of Georgia University. This is bull crap. So sorry, I got on my box for a second there. I'm gonna get off and mute myself. Thank you.
The one thing I would say to add to that was like the where they didn't come out of their stance and the SMU defender was able to jump over him. Good Lord, man, that was the one that hurt the most, obviously. But kids are kids; they make mistakes. And the only thing I would tell them as a coach, I'd be like, "Look, it was a mistake. We're moving on. Next time, hell, grab the guy. I don't care if you get a holding call, tackle him. I don't care if you get anything. If they throw a flag, whatever, just do not let him jump over top of you and block that kick." That would be the one thing I'd be like. I mean, um, so I got a couple of comments, and then we're gonna move on to our Miami discussion. I thought this was a good comment from Carlton Glover. I'm probably in the minority, so hopefully I don't get absolutely murdered for my opinion. But I actually left the game feeling really, really good about where this program is and where it's going. I wondered how good our defense really was and found out they are freaking elite, unmatched effort and desire on that side of the ball. I wondered if our offense could just make plays against a really good team, and we did. By far the best offensive game of the year. The offense wasn't perfect, but it was pretty damn good. SMU was good, and our offense made enough plays to win the game. It sucked we gave it away multiple times, but all in all, I love this team and I love Manny. I would not be surprised to see us go to Miami and win. We have the kids to do it. He said, "That's my ramblings. What a freaking night." And he said, "Oh yeah, almost forgot. Have a freaking night, Eli Pancol." And once again, this is another fan podcast of Eli Pancol. We love Eli Pancol. We love the Pancol family. Um, what a great year he's having, and great comeback. Would not be shocked to see him win some sort of comeback player of the year. He should win it, in my opinion. Uh, Regina Lee, the Duke defense does not know the word can't. They only know the word will. And now finally, I'm gonna tee this up for Brian because I know he's done some stat studying for Miami. Bentley Weeks, he says, "I know all these are going to be questions about SMU," and he was right. uh, and I just want to move on. So, how can Duke pull off a remarkable upset against Miami? Offensively, we got to score, obviously, but is there a world where we can score 24 to 28 points and win?
Ooh. All right, Duke fans, buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride with what I'm about to tell you. Duke is going up against the number one ranked offense in the country. Now, with that being said, you've got the number one ranked offense in the country going up against the now number 33 ranked defense in the country. So this could get interesting, and let me tell you why. Miami is averaging 366 passing yards a game, second best in the country. Duke is conceding 166 passing yards a game, 13th best in the country. Something has to give on Saturday. So, how does Duke win? You take the passing away from Miami. That's going to be a tall task with Cam Ward in the backfield. If you can stop Cam, if you can stop the passing game, you've got a great shot. Here's the other thing, Duke fans, on the flip side of it. When it comes to defense, Duke is going up against the 14th best defense in the country overall. We talked about how SMU was the most balanced team. Guess what? That's out the window now. Miami is now the most well-balanced team. You're not going to like what I'm about to say, Duke fans, but let's just take it all in and let's just digest it. Miami only gives up 97 rushing yards a game, 11th best in the country. Miami also only gives up 201 passing yards a game, 42nd best in the country. We saw glimmers of hope in this offense against SMU. Again, SMU was that game where a lot of us, myself included, thought if the offense plays like it has been in past games, it's going to be a long night. I'm holding my reservation for this. Duke, for the last few tries going down to Coral Gables, does well. Does well. But going back to Bentley's question, you got to take the passing out of Miami's hands. You've got to make them run the ball. I mean, they're still averaging 194 yards on the ground. That's 32nd best. But I'm trying to you try to eliminate, you cut the head off and deal with the rest. So if they can stop the pass, which is what Duke's bread and butter is this year, and you can somehow limit the rushing yards, again, tall task against the number 5 team in the country, Duke has a legitimate shot. This defense is an elite defense. So that's my analysis for Duke versus Miami. Miami, and I'll say this as well, Miami only had 1 passing touchdown against Florida State. They had 3 rushing touchdowns. It was 3. It was 3. I think they got a garbage one at the end. Their defense gave up 1 passing touchdown, but they also made Florida State, Brock Lynn throw 2 interceptions. So it's a tall task, Duke fans. Let's just call it like it is. This is elite. Now, if Duke can beat this squad, you talk about a program, one of the all-time biggest program victories. That would be elite. So a lot of things have to happen. A lot of things have to fall in Duke's place. I'll just say that.
Now, I know this is like typical like coach speak, but the best defense is a good offense. Can we reel off some 7 to 8 minute drives and keep Cam Ward on the daggum sideline? I mean, right now, I mean he's a Heisman candidate. He may be the Heisman candidate, possibly. I mean, Shador Sanders is and Travis Hunter. You know, they're all candidates, and Cam Ward is probably. I mean, he might be the only candidate in the ACC.
He'll
I would
definitely be
think.
in New York. He'll definitely
Yeah,
be
so he's
invited.
going to be up there, and he's very possibly going to be the best QB in the NFL draft.
Oh, easily.
So keeping him on the sideline for me is just like that's what we need to do. We need to be able to run the football, and we need to see some longer drives like we saw from Duke on Saturday. I mean, we saw a 95-yard touchdown drive. Of course, that was a quick drive because he ended up hitting Queso for a long score. But you get what I'm saying. If we
You,
could take some chunks off the clock, we got a chance.
you know, kind of like what happened in the game Saturday night. Duke in the first of the season has gone to 180. You know, where they were running out there, let's hurry up, hurry, hurry. Saturday night, 30 seconds. Okay, we got 10 more seconds. Oh yeah, 2 seconds, 3 seconds to go. Let's go and snap it. And that worked in their advantage because that made SMU have to sit on the sideline, which again helped in the fourth quarter. So I think that's something you have to do against Miami. And I know Brian's probably going to reference this in a few minutes, but they've got one of the best running backs in the country. They've got one of the best wide receivers in the country, and they have the best quarterback in the country. Martinez is a great running back. Restrepo is his number 1 guy, and he will throw the football to him. So it's probably going to be Chan and Restrepo all day. They're going to be best friends by the end of it. And then I want to go back and make one more point about the game the other night, and hopefully I'm not messing up anything by doing this. The effort that our team gives every game. 2 plays in my mind step out. There's just, obviously, and I did this last year many times. I am a huge Dwayne Carter fan, and I've told y'all 1,000 times why. That motor never stopped. That guy was Mr. Duke for a reason. The play of the game to me that even gave us an opportunity was the pass where the guy should have scored a touchdown. The referee, with his head up his backside, called it a touchdown. But who called him? Alex Howard ran 70 yards. Now, remember, earlier, Alex Howard was out because he strained his hamstring. Chan Rivers came out of the other side of the field. Those two dudes made that tackle at the 1 yard line. Guess what they didn't do on that drive? They didn't score a touchdown. Had those two dudes stood back there and watched him run and not gave maximum effort, that's 7 more. And you don't know. At that point, they may be out there moving, shoveling the grave for us. The Undertaker's going to be out there, and he's not getting out of the box this time. He's going in the box. But that's what I'm talking about. Eli Pankel having the great night. This team, to me, the maximum effort. And we're getting it day in and day out. You're looking at the O-line, and God forbid I say this and I don't want to do it. These guys have been playing Iron Man football. They are taking very few snaps off. Now, hold on, let me knock. Y'all hear that? I'm knocking on wood. But this is what they've done all season. And they're doing it at a great job. Malik's only getting dirty a couple times a game. Saturday night, he dropped a snap. He took his eyes off the ball because he was ready to throw it quickly because he saw the blitz coming. The only sack he took Saturday night was just one where the coverage was great. But it go back to the point I made a few minutes ago. You're getting the effort from these guys. They're leaving it on the field. It's got to turn. These guys are not leaving it out on the field to end up losing the next 4 games. If they do, then it is what it is. Benny Hinn touched the Wolfpack and Virginia Tech and the Mighty Deacons down there in Winston-Salem and Krispy Kreme world. But that's the only way those 3 teams are going to have more effort and energy than Duke does. And that's the point I want to make there. Because to me, the Alex Howard and the Chandler Rivers thing, man, that's 7. They were already marking 7 up on the board, the whole 9 yards. And what did the defense do from that point on? The Lord's defensive tackle, Kendi, made a great play, blew up 2 plays, knocked the center back into the backfield where it messed up the quarterback. You got to love this. As a Duke fan in 2024, thinking about a Duke fan in 1994, the young me with hair and the big woof and the part and the hairspray, I would have begged to see guys work as hard as these guys are working and put the maximum effort they're in. But, keep it going, guys. Hey, do what you got to do. We're still going to support you. These fans that are aggravated and frustrated, they're still coming out every week because they love you. Virginia Tech, when they come to town, we're going to have the place packed again for senior day to celebrate every last one of you guys that came in, and this is your last chance to play in front of the Wallace Way crowd.
All right, let's bow our heads for prayer. No,
Can you pass the offering plate real fast first?
Yes, amen, brother. Amen, brother Scott. That's a great way to end the mailbag. Thanks to each and every one of you who submitted questions, and of course, we'll have the mailbag next week to give as we look ahead to state, and we also talk about the result of the Miami game. Well, we've got this week in Blue Devil history coming up, but before we do that, we have to thank our Iron D sponsor, El Rodeo. This is one that we have all gone to. I know Josh talks very highly about them. I've been there myself, as well as Scott and Jamie. This great Mexican food and drinks. We're, of course, talking about their North Duke Street location. I believe we had some fans that went this past weekend that enjoyed it. And they took some photos, posted it in our Facebook group. I believe it was the Owens family, Brian and Melody, right? Yep. So they enjoyed it. So we thank you guys for that photo. If you're looking to have a party for a big group of you, they have a private room for large parties. They would be happy to accommodate you. And again, if you are going between now and the end of the year, or really any time during the year, send us a photo. Let us know that you stopped by and you had some food. Tell them that the Section 17 crew sent you, and they'll get you taken care of. So again, thank you to El Rodeo on North Duke Street in Durham. All right, Scott, it's time for This Week in Blue Devil History. We know you always bring the positivity when it comes to this, unlike myself, who used to do it and, had to bring the bad with the good, but I know you do a good job with this. So what do you have for us this week?
So this week we're going to go back just a few short years to November the 3rd, 2018. Duke traveled down to Miami to play the U in front of, as usual, the usually family and friend crowd only, because that's all that shows up for those games. Deion Jackson, who I referenced earlier, takes off on a 75-yard run to start the game, first play from scrimmage. He led the team with 113 yards on the ground. Duke scored the go-ahead touchdown on a 2-point pass, a 2-yard pass, not a 2-point pass. Lord, I can't read. 2-yard pass from Quentin Harris to Daniel Helm. Joe Giles Harris led the Blue Devils with 12 tackles. The game ended up being played in a monsoon, which again happens every time Duke goes down there for some reason. Even though the last time we played down there, it didn't. But that was a noon kickoff, which, hey, noon kickoff Saturday. This win helped Duke become bowl eligible in the season, which led to the thumping of the Temple Owls in the armpit of Louisiana Bowl, 56-27 that season. And that was this week in Duke football history.
Sorry, I just sent Jamie a Friday reference. Did you get it, Jamie? Okay. Well, thank you, Scott. It's always good to go back in time and relive some of the great moments in Duke football history. That 2018 team was fun to watch. Yep, Scott just saw it. We're talking predictions that's going to be coming up, of course, after the tail of the tape. And usually I have my hype man, Josh, here to lead me into it. But again, as we stated earlier, Josh is out celebrating his oldest daughter's birthday. So, Kelsey, again, happy birthday from us at Section 17. So, you know what, fellas? Let's just jump right in. I muted myself. I told Jamie, yep,
You muted it.
mute button 2, Jamie and Brian 1. Let's try this again. I'm just going to jump right into it. Tell of the tape for the Miami Hurricanes. Last year, Miami went 7-6 and played in the Pinstripe Bowl, where they were defeated by Rutgers 31-24. Last week, Miami defeated in-state rival FSU 36-14, and with the win, Miami is now 5th in the country at 8-0 and 4-0 in conference play. Head coach Mario Cristobal is in his 3rd season as the Miami head coach and has an overall coaching record of 82-73. Before coming to Miami, Cristobal had head coaching stints at Oregon from 2018 to 2021, as well as FIU from 2007 to 2012. And in between that time, he held various assistant coaching positions at Alabama, Rutgers, and of course, Miami. Now, overall, this is the 21st matchup all-time between Duke and Miami, with Miami leading the series matchup 15-5. Oof. The first game between the two schools took place all the way back on October 9th, 1976 in Coral Gables, where Duke defeated the Hurricanes 20-7. The two schools would meet again 7 years later in 1983 in Wallace Wade, where Miami would exact its revenge on Duke, winning 52-17. We've all been a part of a lot of those games in the past. Now, after the 1983 game, the two schools would not play again until 2005, after Miami had joined the ACC. From 2005 to 2022, Duke and Miami played every year, with Miami winning 14 of the 18 overall games. Now, the last time Duke and Miami did play was in 2022, with Duke defeating Miami 45-21. I believe that was the game where Duke had like 8 interceptions or something like that. That was a historical performance by Duke. Now, after this year's matchup, Duke and Miami will take a pause in the series again, and they will not play until the year 2027, when Miami comes to Durham. And head coach Manny Diaz, just a reminder, folks, coached Miami from 2019 to 2021, where he had a 21-15 overall record and a 16-9 ACC record. So he's already started out better at Duke, in our humble opinion. He also went to 3 straight bowl games with the Hurricanes: the Independence Bowl, the Cheez-Its Bowl, and the Sun Bowl. Now it's time for Did You Know? Sebastian the Ibis has been the mascot for the University of Miami for close to 70 years, but was not the first Miami mascot. The first official mascot for Miami was a 65-pound boxer dog named Hurricane One. The canine, who was chosen as the school's official mascot in 1950, would wear an orange and green blanket with his name in white during Hurricanes games. It wasn't until 1957 when San Sebastian Hall, a residence hall on campus, sponsored an IBIS entry in the annual homecoming celebration. The IBIS entry was the brainchild of Norman Whitten, who was the director of the student union at that time. It wasn't until the following year in 1958 when student John Stormont started performing at games in an IBIS costume that was glued, sewn, and pinned together. Stormont later admitted that the whole costume cost $30 to make and took about 3 weeks to construct. The IBIS mascot was originally called Icky, but was later renamed Sebastian in honor of San Sebastian Hall, where Stormont was a resident. Through the years, the IBIS has become one of the most recognizable college mascots in the United States. It continues to lead the team out of the tunnel during the Hurricanes football season. And that was the tale of the tape for the Miami Hurricanes. A lot of storied history with the Hurricanes. I gotta say, that's one of those storied programs, but yet I'm not a fan of their fans, if you get what I'm saying. I think we all agree. Well, it's time, fellas. It's prediction time, and I don't think we got one from Josh. So that's on us. I'll check with him after this recording so we can put it up for the predictions post. Scott, why don't you go ahead and tell us what the lead in is as far as the over under and the whether or not Duke's a favorite or an underdog, which I think we already know.
Yeah, this is probably one of the worst ones we've had in a long time, and then that's really saying a whole lot. Miami opens or currently is a 21-point favorite. It's painful. And Duke is 6-2. If we haven't already pointed that out to you tonight, they're still 6-2. But Vegas does not believe in Duke, unfortunately, and the over/under is 55.5. So they really think Miami is going to score about 5 touchdowns and Duke's not. So yeah, that's a tough one as far as I'm concerned. So as far as picking, since I'm here, I'll go ahead and
Well,
do it.
hang on, timeout,
That's right.
timeout.
I'm
J-
sorry. I
Jamie helped
forgot.
us. We almost let the ball go by the goalie. We gotta thank our prediction winners. We did have prediction winners from the SMU game, and my screen went blank. Hang on, boy, I'm having a tough time tonight, folks. I apologize. It's hard playing producer, director, and host. Okay, Facebook. We have Tony Haynes. He predicted SMU to win 28-17, so he actually got SMU's score on the nose. On X, he's a former winner, multiple time winner, season prediction winner, I believe, from last year. Big Papa RV, he predicted SMU to win 27-16. And on the Instagram, the Insta, Harry Iyer in the house. I believe this is his second victory this season. Third? Wow. Harry, keep them coming, man. Good job. He predicted SMU to win 27-17. So congratulations to all three of you. Scott has already reached out, and we'll have the predictions for next week as well for or predictions for Miami game this week, and we'll announce the winners next Monday. Scott, let's get back to it. What were you saying about your predictions?
Oh, well, Harry actually won twice last season. That's his first win this season, but either
Okay,
way,
so
still.
four total.
And
Got it.
honestly, Big Papa, same deal. Last year he had a couple wins. This is his first win on the season. So, you know, it's always good to be able to give stuff to people who are being consistent, I guess. Speaking of being consistent, let's go with the uniform combo. Um, I'm interested to see, and I'm only playing conspiracy theorist here because this is what I do well at. Manny had a white shirt on with the blue D today. So, why not? Let's just have a little fun. I think we're going to go icy white with the big blue D so that they can see the big, very large, great defense that Duke has in front of the 17 or 18 people that are there wearing the U. And they're a bunch of clowns. But anyway, as far as prediction, now I want to be honest and real, but I also want to toe the company line. And yeah, honest and real, I just can't do that. I'm sorry. I'm towing the company line here, boys and girls. I'm never going to pick the other team. I just can't do it. It's not in my makeup. It's just not something I do. I don't care who we're playing. I'm not picking them. I don't care if it's Georgia. I'm going to pick Georgia to lose. Hey, they did lose, by the way. Another player just got arrested. Anyway, Let's go with Duke. The 26 range seems to work out well in our favor. Just saying. I'm going to say 26-24 Blue Devils. How about that? It'll be under, but to me, and I said this in a group text during the game the other night, the sweet spot for Duke's defense and the chance to win the game is in the mid 20s. And the fact that they held SMU to 21 going into the fourth quarter was a huge key for them to be in the game. And I think that's something they're going to have to keep doing as we go forward, because after this week, the offenses are not as they don't have a Heisman candidate. There's not another Heisman candidate on the schedule unless we get to a bowl game and we play somebody really good, which bowl committee, sunny South for the Blue Devils after Christmas.
All right. There I go again. Clearing my
Squeaky
throat.
voice one, Jamie's here.
I'm not as sunshine and rainbows as Scott is. I will pick Duke to lose. Uniforms first. Icy whites. I like Scott's idea. Icy whites. I'll go with the Duke Gothic script. Just to be different. I'm gonna go. I think Duke keeps it close. I really do. I think the defense will keep us in it. I'm gonna go Miami 31, Duke 17. I just think Cam Ward and company going to be a little too much, That offense is something else, and their defense is pretty damn good too. So Miami 31, Duke 17.
All right. We're all in agreement on the jersey combo, icy whites. Scott, you said the big blue D. Jamie, you said the Gothic. We got to bring back the white Hellraiser from the Middle Tennessee State game. I think that the Hellraiser has been a winning formula so far this year. So, what better logo what logo to put on the helmet heading down to Coral Gables? I'm with Jamie. Unfortunately, this is one that from the get go, when we did season predictions, it was going to be a tall task for this Duke team to win. Can they win? Absolutely. But just looking at everything that I just said earlier with Miami and just seeing what I've seen with Duke and still trying to make the right adjustments to overcome the injuries on offense. I've got a little bit closer actually than Jamie does. I've got Duke or Miami winning 34-28. I hope it's not one of those we're tied 28-28 last second something happens and the ACC refs decide, you know what? They need to go from number 5 to number 4. They need to make sure they're in the playoffs. I don't wish that, but I do think it's going to be a close game. Duke has won the last 2 games in Coral Gables against Miami, so something to consider as well. So as it stands right now, me and Jamie have Miami winning. Scott has Duke winning, and we did receive. Oh, look at that! Josh just came in right before the last second. Josh is he's going with you, Scott. He sees this as a defensive struggle, a defensive battle, I should say. He's got Duke winning 14-13. So he is going more than double under the under. 20
What a homer. He's
Yeah.
such a homer. He's such a homer.
Oh, Jamie, you can talk with him about that next episode. And as far as the he's going with me on the jersey combo. He is going icy whites with the Hellraiser. He originally said Gothic, but then at the very last second he said, "Yeah, you know what? Let's go Hellraiser." So 14-13 Duke, Josh says, with all white with the Hellraiser. All right. Well, yes, Jamie, go ahead.
One more thing. I just wanted to say, I also want to say happy birthday to Kelsey. Got a chance to hang out with her at the Duke game on Saturday while Josh was whining and dining some NIL deals for the DDC. So happy 16th birthday to Kelsey.
Okay. I got to do my little say goodbye. Happy birthday to Kelsey also, but appreciate you being the favorite Josh, being just like Josh. quiet. Oh, never mind. You're not like Josh, but great job. Uh, want to hit two things real fast, just to do what I do here. Number one, congratulations to Liberty Christian School's soccer team. Jamie, I, and Josh are graduates of there. They won the state championship last Saturday. I was actually watching that. If you wondered what the heck I was doing at the game during the tailgate, I was watching the game on my phone. They ended up winning, going 18-0 on the season, winning three state championships in the last 4 years. The 1 year they didn't win the state championship, they didn't play in it. They went and won the national championship in Dayton, Tennessee. So that's 4 straight championships in a row for this team. Senior class will go down as one of the greatest soccer teams of all time. It's not real football. It's still football to the folks that enjoy it. And then one other thing, thank y'all for all the stuff you did back for the folks in Western North Carolina when we did that. Now we have a new drive going. So, and I'm going to get this out there. We're going to start taking toys for kids. There's going to be a QR code that you can scan. You can actually order it on Amazon and have it delivered to our office. And by December the 6th, we're going to try to get 60,000 toys to all the kids up there that we can, and try to get as many of them 2 toys or 3 toys a piece if we can. So just something else to think about as you go forward. They've gone through a lot, and this is something big. And I joked about this, and I'll say it again. Up until last weekend, the only win the Carolina Trailer had in it was going to Western North Carolina and giving out stuff. Unfortunately, they went to Charlottesville, and those idiots couldn't beat my grandmother, and obviously they couldn't beat Carolina either. So, but thank you again for all y'all have done. I appreciate you. And like I said, we'll get the thing out there on our socials also, just so everybody, if you're interested in doing it, and if not, pass it along to a friend. Put it up somewhere, maybe in your beauty shop or your grocery store, wherever you can do something like that. Because at the end of the day, we're all looking out for these kids, and we're trying to hope that they have a better Christmas, knowing what they've gone through in the last couple months.
Man, how did I top both of y'all saying a good night? I will say this couple things. If you haven't already, be sure to like this video. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, be a subscriber. If you don't watch us on YouTube and you're currently listening to our podcast in the car or on your computer, you can listen to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on uh, Google Podcast. Sorry, Josh does all this usually. I should be listening more when he says all this stuff, but it is what it is. But anytime you listen to us, be sure to give us a like. That helps us out. It helps the algorithm. It helps us get to more cars, to more computers, to more ears, to more listeners. We thank each and every one of you. I do not have any reviews. I did not pull any up. My apologies. I will say this, and I'm going to go ahead and plant the bug in everyone's ears. We are recording on a Monday night, October 28th. In 3 weeks' time, I'm giving everyone ample opportunity to prepare themselves. We will not be recording an episode after the state game for the bye week. We are all taking a break. We are taking the week off. We are going to recharge our batteries for the Virginia Tech game the following Saturday, and then the season finale at Wake. And then, of course, we got to get ready. We'll have more content in between the Wake game and our bowl game, wherever that may be. However, while we do not record, we're going to have another behind the scenes YouTube video coming out. What is it? Just going to have to find out in 3 weeks when it comes out. I will say I had a great time filming it with the folks that came on, and we talked about a lot of stuff. I'm gonna stop talking, because if I don't, I'm gonna reveal it. But we're gonna make sure that we remind you, if you're not listening to this episode, if you listen to next week's episode, just again the week of, I believe it's November 17th. Am I right on that, fellas? Yes. No, the 11th. Am I
Yeah,
losing?
Veterans
Yeah.
Day. We're not recording Veterans Day.
Yes.
So after
Exactly.
next Saturday against NC State, we're taking the week of the 10th through the 6th, 17th, 18th, 17th off. We'll be back
Yes.
on the 18th to be ready for the final home game, Senior Day, for the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Yes, but we will have the behind the scenes video to kind of hold you guys over until our episode the following Monday. Guys, did I forget anything? I know we had a great discussion tonight. I know we were a man down again, but hey, we held the fort down as best we could. Who's taking off next, Scott? Me or you? It seems like this is becoming a thing now.
As far as I know right now, my schedule is good. Basketball season starts for me the week after we were just talking, and I don't have a Monday game. I don't have a Monday game until after the first of the year, so I'm good. I should be good
Yeah,
for every week.
you know what? I'm actually holding off my week off for the Wake preview week because I'll be in Vegas for that round ball, that sport that Duke's now playing.
Watching the numbers, what I think sixth team in the country and the number one team in the country against our friends up the hill. Man, you live a charmed life, my friend. Charmed life. Just make sure you have enough money to get back for to enjoy the holidays.
Yeah, well, I've already been told by the missus if I miss Thanksgiving and she has to celebrate without me, she's going to kill me. So if I miss my flight, I will have to go old school like John Candy and Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I will find a way home from Las Vegas. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to see that movie. It is one of the all-time greatest holiday movies. All right, we could ramble on all night, but we've got to go. It's been another great episode. Thanks to each and every one of you who have listened, who have watched us this week. We will be back next week for the reaction to the Miami game and looking forward to the in-state rivalry that's back against the Wolfpack of NC State. But for Scott Medlin, for Jamie Holt, for the absent Josh Cox, and producer Tyler Witt, I'm Brian Kennedy. And this has been another episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast.